They look beautiful, but meeting to order, if we could please. Would you call the roll call, please?
Yes, sir.
That would be great. Thanks so much.
Okay. Commissioner Jason Steele.
I'm here.
Okay. Vice Chair, Mr. Tom Hermanson.
Present.
Ms. Julie Braga.
Here.
Mr. Alex Littress.
Present.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor Rob Medina.
Present.
Okay. I have Mr. Delish Vidaire, absent. I have Mr. Wayne Soar.
Here.
Yes, sir. I have Mr. Keith Winston.
Present.
Thank you. And I have Ms. Andrea Young.
Here.
So we have a quorum. Thank you very much. Okay, before we get started, I'd like to know if any board members have anything to disclose in regards to potential business coming before the TDC that may be in conflict with your position as a board member. Anybody got anything? Okay, hearing nothing, we'll move right on. Director's report, Peter. You wanna-
Sir, could we do the minute?
Absolutely, we can.
Thank you, sir.
I need a motion to approve the minutes of the council of the commission meeting on July 24, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor by the mayor and a second by Andrea Young. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The motion carries. Back to you, Peter.
Thank you, sir. Yes, just a quick report. June, TDT came in. We were off just a little over 1% from the prior June. So, last year was an all-time high summer for us. And so June is kind of that first month of three that we track for the summer. And we just barely missed that number. Looking forward, July actually looks like we might beat last July, so that will be exciting to see that. And if we could end up a little bit up over the summer, I think that'll be a big win for the destination overall. Other than that, unless there's any questions on anything else that's in my report, I don't have anything else, sir.
Okay, good. Marketing committee report? Anybody on a marketing committee report?
No report.
That's a good report.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, and I will say thank you to the board. Our marketing plan for fiscal 24-25 was approved yesterday, so that was nice to get that hurdle past us. And we're going to be, we're working on a lot of contracts and task orders for our agency and various media companies as we get into the fall campaign. So we're moving forward now with all of that.
All right, cultural committee. We don't have.
There is no report. Our last meeting was canceled. Our next meeting is November 7th.
Okay, thanks, Andrea. Appreciate it. Okay, then. Capital Facilities Committee report.
So we had 3 applicants for the Capital Facilities Committee grants. Scoring sheets are attached. Unfortunately, I had a conflict. I was out of town for the actual meeting, so I'm going to let Peter chime in. But effectively, as you can see from the reports, 2 of the applicants did not score at the requisite threshold that's established by the policy of 75%. And the 3rd applicant, which I see is in attendance with a lot of nice blue shirts, came within a hair of that 75%, and the recommendation of the voting members of the committee recommended to give the Lighthouse Foundation their full requested grant of $775,000. Do you want to add anything to that? And I'm at the chair's pleasure, if you want to ask the applicant to say anything. You can.
Yeah, I'm absolutely going to do that. Yeah, do you have anything to add?
The only thing was, there was a discussion, I think the committee was unanimous in wanting to award something, and it was just, there was a lot of discussion about what that amount should be, and it ended up being 5-2 for the full amount. So that's how it got to that.
Okay, any response, Tom? None? You good?
No, I have additional thoughts on it, but maybe after the presentation when you take comments.
Okay, Rocky, you want to come on up and talk about the lighthouse?
Sure. I'm Rocky Johnson. Hi. I am a past president of the Cape Canaveral Lighthouse Foundation, and been there a while, and my thanks to all these wonderful people with the Lighthouse Foundation. But in short, we actually came just to answer your questions, so I'll give the 30,000-foot summary right now. Thanks to you all, we have gone from, when I started with the Lighthouse Foundation, maybe one tour a month, I'd say, Jenny, that's about, to now, we have, thanks to you all, and to the state of Florida grant that we received to build the museum cottage and the restrooms there, we have every day but Sundays, we offer tours, usually 2 and even 3 tours a day. So it's phenomenal success. We did phase 1. You all gave us $500,000 for phase 1. The state gave us $250,000. We built the primary keeper's cottage, which is the museum, and public restrooms, so that now people can come and see the historical keeper's cottage and the lighthouse. The lighthouse, a lot of people don't understand the historical significance of the lighthouse here. It's the reason that essentially we're all here. It's the reason that aerospace is here. It's the reason that Port Canaveral is here. They were looking for a place they could launch or blow up their rockets without hurting too many people. And there was this obscure lighthouse out here on the Cape. And so Wernher von Braun and his buddies actually came and watched their rockets launch from the lighthouse. So fast forward, the ability for us to bring that historical significance of this area, what started the heart and soul of Brevard County, to not just Brevard County, to Florida, to the United States, and to the world, as is evidence that you can see from the guest logs that we have. The exponential success is just beyond comprehension. Again, you all helped us get that started with phase 1. Phase 2 is to complete the second half. There were 4 cottages. You all helped us build the first 2. Again, phenomenal success. These 2 cottages that we want to do now will complete the original footprint and the original historical value of the lighthouse, and the keeper's cottage arrangement will be there to show Brevard County residents, Floridians, other Americans who come, and even foreign nationals who come. So phenomenal opportunity, and we sincerely thank you for that. We're looking now to complete it, and hence our application. So
Okay.
really here for questions.
All right, Tom, did you have questions you wanted to ask?
No, I will say that last time around, I think this is a great historical place.
Okay.
The record wasn't finished. That was
sorry.
pause for effect. That was a great.
Well, it affected me.
Yeah, it's a great historical asset. I struggle with the fact that, and I said this the last time around, that it is on restricted Air Force space, which limits the number of attendants, which limits the tourism impact. And we're here as the advisory board to the commission to advise them on the most prudent use of tourism capital facilities and other dollars in order to maximize tourism impact. And those 2 things are in conflict. The fact that it's behind the gate, and while you've gone from 1 tour a week to 2 or 3 tours a day, I think is great and commendable. I still have issue with the fact that it is behind the closed gates, and would have liked to have seen after the first initial round, I do look at capital facilities projects as being a good source for seed money for projects, but we do have a tendency of seeing the same applicants come back time and time again, like the Tika Warbird Museum, the band shell, and others, now this project as well. So am I supportive of some support? Yes. I'd like to hear additional comments from the other members as to whether or not we should support the full grant, which, comes to 75% of this projected project cost, or whether or not we should support at some level and ask them to find additional funds from other sources. That's it.
Can I comment to Vice Chair Hermanson's?
Yeah, briefly, please.
So I agree with Tom, as I do on almost everything that Tom brings up. But I would point out that the fact that it's restricted is actually one of our greatest strengths. Now, it hurts in terms of our ability for fundraising, but the fact that this lighthouse is behind restricted lines in the heart and soul of the not just American aerospace community, but worldwide, the cutting edge of aerospace in the world. There are people who come from all over that would love to see a lighthouse, but even more so to see a lighthouse in the heart and soul of the American space program. And it's phenomenal. When if any of you have not been on this tour, I urge you, please talk to me. We'll get you a tour. They sign up because it's behind the lines. They get a chance to go out there and see these things, and they're from all over. You can see from the studies that we've done and the visitors, they want to go there even more because it's behind the line. So yes, it's a weakness, but it's also a sincere strength. A lot of people want to see a lighthouse. A lot of people want to see aerospace. There are a lot of people that really want to see both.
Okay.
So thanks.
Let me ask, Peter, I guess this goes to the county commission, or do we?
Yes, sir.
There's already been a recommendation to approve the budget, correct, at the last meeting, is that correct?
No, the TDC would have to make a recommendation now.
Today?
And then we would bring it in September.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Let me make a few comments myself. Tom, I appreciate your comments, and it's very difficult when you're sitting here with something that is so historic and so heartfelt and so emotional. But I too have the same issues that Mr. Hermanson has. I see a potential for us putting a bunch of money into this thing, and before you know it, the Space Center decides that, okay, no more access, period. So it concerns me tremendously that we would put any kind of funds into this at this particular point in time. It saddens me that I'm even saying this, but at the same point in time, our obligation here today is to get heads in beds, and without that access, specifically since you're going to have well over 150 to 175 launches next year, which will curtail your tours because they won't let you on that base when that happens. So you've already cut yourself in half with days that you might potentially be able to open, and we have no idea who else is going to come in and how many more other launches you're going to go. So I reluctantly cannot support this and will not support it for those reasons, and I'm going to listen to what the rest of the board says, but I'm very, very concerned about that.
On that point, for the launches, we are not closed just because there's a launch. It depends on whether or not we're in the restricted area. So you can actually take a tour on a launch day depending on where the launch is.
Yeah, Rocky, I appreciate your comments, but guess what? We do not have control over NASA. And when you have more launches there, you're going to have more restrictions there. And the potential for sabotage and other people sneaking in and getting lost and things of that nature is a very main security issue for me. Because I can tell you right now, one tour comes in and somehow or another we don't catch the right person and they decide to sneak off, and try to sabotage something that's a potential for the defense of the United States of America, it's a problem. So, God, I love this lighthouse, and I think everybody on the board loves it, but I just can't do this. Mayor?
So, Mr. Rocky, if you will, walk me through the process of getting access to the lighthouse today.
Sure, Becky?
Yeah. I probably have more of the knowledge of the day-to-day, how things happen. So
If you
somebody-
would
Can you
speak
get on
into
the
the
mic?
microphone, that'd be great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm Becky Zingarelli, the museum director. What we do today is that we have various tours that people can take, and they have to sign up at least 2 or 3 days ahead of time, depending on the type of tour. They have to provide their driver's license, their social security number, and everything. All of that information is given to the Space Force days ahead of time, and they vet everybody. They are accompanied by people constantly while they were there. They cannot deviate from where they're going. And so we've never had an issue with any of these tours here. And just real quick to some of the comments about the restrictions going forward. I mean, it's certainly what you're saying could happen. The Space Force commanders are very much behind keeping the tours going in any way they can. They've directed everybody out there to make it happen and don't inhibit it. We've also been working with the Space Force Heritage Foundation, and we've talked with Keith Winston about getting together when the aquarium comes out there, and the Space Force Experience builds a building outside of the gate. They are going to start doing just like Delaware North does, and they're going to have big bus tours come constantly, all day, and then we'll be taking them out to the lighthouse and other areas, and so then we'll get a huge bump. We're just trying to get ahead of the curve so that we can be there ready to go when that big bump in tourism starts.
And I would add to that, I'm a contractor with my real hat on that I have to do to make a living. And we do millions of dollars of work for the Space Force and for NASA at Kennedy Space Center and Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, millions of dollars of work. And we badge thousands of people. And those people actually go to the badging station, get their badge, drive in. And I share your concern for risk in terms of for the national security. I've often, a guy or girl's a drywaller or whatever, they get their badge, they drive their own car in there. There's a lot of risk, and they have to work, the government has to work around that risk and understand and grasp that risk. For our people that badge in advance to go out on the tour is just not even a drop in the bucket compared to the contractors that badge and every day, go out there.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'd like to follow up.
Yes, sir,
Please.
go ahead, Mayor.
So then
Let's go
that's.
ahead and have an open conversation,
Sure.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that, Mr. Chair. So part of that discussion, right, is you just hit on that, is how many commercial entities do go in and out of the
Yes.
base and have base access. My question is more on the lines of, how do you get those driver's license? So they actually petition you to come on for the tour, and then you gather that intel, which driver's license and social security, if I listened correctly, and then you pass that on to the Department of the Space Force, the Department of the
Yes.
Air Force,
Yes.
United States Space Force. And in that turnaround time, how many days do they grant those access?
It's 2 to 7 days ahead of time. When we do large group tours where people are driving their own vehicles out there, where we do in a caravan with escorts on both ends and in the middle, they have to give us the information 7 days ahead of time. When they're coming out on the commercial tours where you're getting in the van, not driving their own vehicles, they do that 2 days ahead of time and give that to Space Force Security.
So it's very much like the badging of any other tour buses as well, right?
Yes.
So part of that vetting process, you get that information directly from the Space Force.
We get the information and we give it to the Space Force. So this is,
Right,
we
and then
meet
they
the
come back and
requirements.
say what?
Yes.
They come back and say you're good to go for the tour.
Yay or nay?
Yes.
Have
And-
they ever declined anyone?
No.
So, Mr. Chair, part of the discussion, right, is when it comes to that type of espionage, sometimes, the vetting process is complicated. I do agree that we can't compromise our national security. But we also have to rely on the Space Force in that regard as well. So those were my comments. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's very much like if you get your tickets to the Brevard Zoo online or something, most people get things online now. So they sign up online and then it gets vetted online.
I'm very apologetic when I say this. I'm not being disrespectful at all. I served on that Space Florida board, and it's not that simple. This is a complex problem with a lot of launches going to be coming into play and with a major hindrance of being able to get into the lighthouse. So as much as I like it, Julie, did you have something you wanted to say?
I did, but I did not raise my hand or anything.
It's called ESP,
Oh my
Extra
gosh, you're
Steel
amazing.
Perception.
Good afternoon. My question is, I didn't see in the data, and I don't know if you're tracking, how many people is there a source of related to cruising? Like, is it a shore excursion or anything like that? Is there any partnership there with attendees or future?
That's something that is, we've been pursuing since, for as long as I've been involved. And that's something that we really are working to build. Way back, we had a partnership with one of the tour companies that provided excursions, and it was a challenge. Now, when you look at the increase in cruise operations, both home-ported vessels and port-of-call, there's obviously a huge opportunity for additional activities associated with those folks coming, the aquarium, et cetera, and that's another near and dear item to me, the aquarium. But we're working hard on building that, and Becky had mentioned we have a couple different tour providers that have gone through the vetting process, et cetera, and one of those is working hard on building that market share. I think, knocking on the door of 150 port-of-call vessels, this year, et cetera. So very much interested in taking advantage of that market as well, and we're aggressively pursuing it.
Thank you.
That's the
Thank you.
reason we brought that company on, as a matter of fact. It's because they have those relationships with the cruise industry already, and that we were looking to capitalize on that.
So that's what you meant by tour, is when you come in by caravan, that's what you were describing as like a,
By caravan is a separate tour.
Oh, it's separate.
It's a separate thing where the community or larger groups can come in their own vehicles. And but not one by one, they have to be escorted, the whole front to back. The commercial tours that we have, the vehicle, they have to get on the vehicle of the tour provider outside the gate, and they have no ability to deviate from anything there.
I see.
And
Okay.
so that speaks sort of on, there are two sides of that. One is to, the chair's concern about a total shutdown. No one is going out there to see the lighthouse ever again. Certainly that we can't argue with the United States government on that. But as far as someone slipping off, a significant percentage of these people are coming out on a bus, and they're accounted for, and they're actually getting back on the bus. And
Yeah,
going
I
back
believe
again.
Mr. Winston has a comment.
So I have two quick questions and a comment, all from an attraction point of view. Why no tours on Sunday?
We don't have a reason for no tours on Sunday. The cards have fallen such that we haven't had a big need for or a lot of requests for tours on Sunday. I said when you all gave us the $500,000 seed money initially and the state gave us the $250,000, we will have tours 7 days a week.
Okay.
But we need the people to express an interest in having those tours, and we will have tours 7 days a week if the demand is there for it.
I'm going to point out the obvious. Saturday and Sunday are the busiest attractions days. So
Yes.
there's some hole there. A second quick question and then a comment. Length of stay. When you add the second cottages, what's your current average length of stay? How long is a tour, and how will that impact the length of stay when you add the new features?
Currently, what we have is, we've got the lighthouse and the museum, and right next to it is Hangar C, which is the largest hangar still out there, and it's got the rockets that are refurbished from throughout the space program. The Space Force Museum has got that as their annex. We currently people spend about an hour and 15 minutes out there doing the lighthouse and the hangar. We anticipate that going to maybe an hour and 40.
Okay. I think it's just an important measure. The last one, I'm just throwing this out there as an attraction guide that might address some of your fears or not. there's different ways to run attractions. One way is high volume. You're never going to be super high volume. The other end is high end, right? So it's entirely possible. You said something I thought that was really intriguing, which is I can go to any lighthouse I want most of the time. I can drive out to Ponce de Leon and walk in. There's nothing exclusion about it. It's not expensive. It's not hard to get to. If you ever did face limitations, you could make it a very high-end piece. So for example, there's a little zoo in Wheeling, West Virginia. It's the only place you can do red panda encounters. People fly in from Europe all the time. Look at Julie's face. They pay a lot of money, and they bring a lot of economic dollars for very low volume. So the one thing that's really intriguing to me, just as someone who wants to see you succeed, is if you are squeezed down, you can market it as a very exclusive, very expensive thing for somebody, staying in the Westin or another high-end. It's not always volume. It can be price point to have economic impact. And if this is a sticking point for this group, you might want to run your economic analysis. And what happens if you say, we're only seeing 25 people a week, but they're each paying $1,000. And I don't know what the price point is, but that is both ways you can run it. I know that's not your first desire. You want as many people through, but it is possible to do a high-end premium experience that does contribute to tourism because people have to come here just for that,
Well said.
if it's as exclusive. So just a thought as you guys move forward.
Thank you, Keith. Who else has comments? Alex, you got anything you want to say?
Well, my thought is that the capital committee took the time to vet this project, and it met the threshold, right, the 75% or close to it. And other projects were considered, and they didn't float to the top like this one did. So, I mean, a lot of work went into bringing these people to this board today.
Okay.
So, I mean, I think there's
That's a very positive
positives
comment. I
there,
understand that, and I think
you
it's a
know.
good point.
Okay. And I wonder if some of the concerns that are being broached are more what-ifs, since, I mean, the project does fit at this time.
Okay, thank you. Andrea?
Yes, I'd like to make a comment, please. I like that it's behind the closed doors, that you have to actually make a plan, and you have to show that you're worthy of going there. So I kind of like that. I think it's a plus. I don't like the idea that, yes, that you have brought up that there's always a safety issue, but I think we have that most of the places that we have in our entire country, not just here, although this certainly is a key place with all the launches going off. But this has been a big hit. People love coming here. They love coming down to the launches, and this is just part of it. So I don't have a problem supporting this. And I know that you don't need a motion when this is coming out of committee. You just need a second for that. Is that correct?
Peter?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'll make a second for this. Thank you.
Okay, there's a motion from, any more comments, Wayne?
A question. It says that room nights, 9,000 room nights last year, and looks like most of your forward look is based on that number, but how was that 9,000 determined?
Well, it was determined, first of all, by the third party that was recommended to us by you all. So we are skeptical that number is realistic. We actually think it's far too low. When we look at the people that visit the lighthouse, they're coming from West Virginia, they're coming from New Jersey, they're coming from New York, they're from all over the place. And you go out there and you spend, by the time you drive out and go and a half a day, you have to be spending the night. You're not driving down from West Virginia and going to the lighthouse and going back home. So I think that those numbers are low. I think that actually the heads and beds are better than the projection that was provided by the third party that you recommended.
Okay, and because my comment was going to be, I don't know if we have anything from the past that shows we spent this much money on Project X and it got us an average of this many room nights, because this room night number just seemed low compared to some of the other stuff we've seen.
We agree, it's low.
Is that it, Wayne? Tom, go ahead.
You'll have heard me say this before. We don't systematically look at the validity of projects relative to room nights. And it's a problem I've always had. we'll give $5 million to a project that I won't bring up in Titusville that will probably generate as many heads and beds as this project. And then, we'll absolutely bend over backwards to deny an air show that brings in 200,000 people over a weekend. So, no, there's no rhyme or reason to it, and I've been here and watched and consternated over it the whole time. So, yeah, eventually we can look at history, but we don't have that now. Whether or not this projection is high or low for this specific project.
Thank you. Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to share my thoughts on this. There's been some great comments. Alex hit the nail on the head, and I love what Keith said about that exclusivity, right? That can go along the way since you're behind the fence, as you said. Part of the discussion is it was 5-2, and I think the discussion was, Tom, the limit, the amount of funding for it. My concern through all of this is those of us that want to be supportive, we need the Board of County Commissioners to be supportive. And what would it take to get our chairman to see where we could balance that out, whether it's a funding exercise that we could talk about, whether that's, yes, sir.
We have, in the past, reduced recommended funding, just like the Board of County Commissioners can tell this board to pound sand, yes or no, or change the funding. That happens all the time. So there's an absolute precedent for that by, cutting down the commitment.
So I'm just looking for an opportunity where the chairman can rally around this as well, because he's the one that's pretty much, you're sitting on the Board of County Commissioners today, sir, and this, it's going to weigh in, it's going to factor in your sentiments regarding this request.
Unfortunately, I'm not going to support this issue at the county commission. So there's your answer.
Copy that, sir.
All right, is there any more discussion? Hearing no discussion. Did you have something else?
Yes, I just want to
Andrea?
make one more comment, if I please. If this should pass, and you do go before the board, I would suggest that you bring someone from the Space Force with you to support the security issue. That may help, because you are going before 5, and you already have, one that is not going to support it. So most likely there'll be at least 2. So I would definitely bring someone with you to that meeting if it passes here. That's
Thank you.
my comment.
Good point. All right, is there any more discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor of sending this to the county commission signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay? Nay. Okay, the motion carries. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you all, I really appreciate it.
You are now forewarned. I don't mean to be disrespectful in any way, because I love this place. It's just a very big concern of mine.
No offense taken
And
whatsoever. In fact,
I appreciate that.
we thank you all so much for what you do for all the counties. So thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just get a count? I'm sorry. Can I
Yes,
get
sir.
a count on the nays? It was Tom.
And Jason
And Wayne.
and Wayne, 3 against, correct?
Thank you.
Okay, Tom, is that all the capital improvement funds that we have on your report today?
That's all for the committee's report.
Okay. Wayne, do you have anything on, the beach committee?
No, we have no report other than a thank you for supporting the commission, for supporting the KBB contracts. Both were passed, so we really appreciate that, and keeping the trash off of the beaches and the roads. Thank you.
That was a fun fight, but we won. All right.
And the next beach committee is October 1st.
Okay.
Thank you.
Wayne, I think you're up for the sports committee?
Yes, only that the next meeting is October 24th.
Okay, is there anybody from the general public that would like to make a comment today? Hearing no comments, I have no report. Tom, do you have a report? No, sir. Julie, how about you?
No report.
Alex?
Nothing to report.
Mayor?
Well, yes, sir. I would appreciate the opportunity to share just a few thoughts. We lost an airman in Operation Resolve, Staff Sergeant Tristan Wright. His services will be September 14th at Macedonia Baptist Church in Melbourne, and I welcome the public to go and honor the service of this airman and honor the family, the Gold Star family. in this regard. I also want to take this opportunity to say, since this board was very successful in passing the grant for Sacrifice Park, we have removed with reverence, honor, and dignity the names, the plaques of the names of our fallen first responders in Brevard County. Chairman, really appreciate your support in this regard, and we're moving forward. So I anticipate by April 23rd, 1987, or was the date that we lost those 2 lives of Grogan and Johnson, but I anticipate by April 23rd, 2025, we'll have the new Sacrifice Park in place to honor and the sacrifices that were laid on our altar of freedom. So thank you, Mr.
It's been an
Chair.
honor to be involved with that. Good work, Mayor.
Thank you.
Okay, Delicia's not here. Keith, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, you're good, Wayne? Okay. Yeah, I just want to give you updates. It's event season at the zoo, so just so you know, for your constituents, in September, kids are free, 3 free kids with every paying adults. So you have folks who are looking, who work with you, who would appreciate that economic break. That's a great time. Boo at the Zoo is weekends in October. And then Jazoo is November 2nd. It sells out every year. So if you haven't been to the best party, we're not the best city, but we're the best party in Brevard County. It does sell out every year, and it is our 30th anniversary. So get your tickets early because they will be gone soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Keith. Andrea, do you have anything?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Okay, Peter, you got anything more?
Just that our next meeting is September 25th, sir.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion to
Second.
adjourn by Mayor and seconded by Keith. So all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. There you go. There's one rule, you have to take a cookie with you when you go.
The opinions expressed by any member of the public during any period of public comment do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, or the program sponsor, and are solely those of the presenter. The Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, and the program sponsor hereby expressly disclaim any and all responsibility or liability for any defamatory or slanderous statements expressed by any member of the public during any such period.